Hello there, people, and welcome to yet another Q2 level. Today is Condemn. I know I could probably say something more about it, but the fact of the matter is, it's one of those 101 levels that really are that forgettable. Luckily, there's only 101 levels in Q2, so that's not a big problem. It only makes up a small package of it. Just remember, good things come in small packages. That's a good thing to tell your kids. Alright, so, Condemn. What in God's name is that? Is that abstract art? I feel confused. Like that is like that has so many spikes on it. That's abstract art right there, people. That's not a Q2 level. This ain't even a level. It's a bunch of spiked art with a Quake HUD at the bottom. Seriously, how is this representative of any level in Q2? That doesn't even look like anything. How can you determine what this level is based on that picture? Well, that didn't tell me anything at all, so let's just load up the thing and figure it out that way. You'll learn by playing it. Oh yeah, Purple Rock! I totally got that based on spiky things! Well, it's a multiplayer level actually, so there's really nothing to do but pick up guns. And honestly, I don't even know what we're really... Oh, I know what level this is. I was kind of starting to wonder, because last time around we basically did the second single-player level. So what would Q2 do now? I just figured out the answer. This level is a multiplayer exclusive. There's no single-player version of this level. I guess they decided to make it very much at the end, and therefore didn't have time to do a single-player version or something. But yeah, there's no single-player version of this. So, yeah, basically it's like a scattering of rooms that goes around in like a loop. It's a bit chaotic of a level, but you'll understand it as I wander around. I have to try and remember where I'm going, but yeah, it was one of the more pain in the butt levels to try and mark down, because it goes all over the place. But it does interconvene in different areas, and you know what I'm trying to say. And the thing is that every Q2 room usually only has one thing. So it does make it easy in that regard to try and document. The hard part is trying to be descriptive about any of this. Like, how do you explain this to anyone? Like, go to the room that's somewhere. Yeah, this is one of those very annoying to write about rooms. Oh, I just picked up a nail gun. Yeah, honestly, it's like very, very confusing, this map. If you haven't already noticed. Go to a quick guide, and you might get a better, clearer picture of what exactly things are. As you see, this way just kind of links back up with the Thunderbolt area. So that's the main purpose of that. Really just to interconnect an area with the Thunderbolt. Other than that, we continue around this circle! I like going in circles! Nascar 2016! Yeah! Yeah! NASCAR, baby! Yeah! 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 I think we just went around in a circle, but I honestly have no idea, so I'm going to go a little bit more, and we'll see what there is to see. Yep. The super nail gun basically says, so really there's not much to this place, if you haven't already kind of noticed based on it. Mainly the idea of this one is that it basically kind of goes around in a loop, and you have like an area that cuts down the middle of the loop somewhat via the Thunderbolt shortcut area. But you basically skip over the rocket launcher, so why you do that, I don't really know. I guess the idea is that someone's rushing for the rocket launcher, you could go around and try and get the Thunderbolt at least. But yeah, it's mostly just one gun's thrown in a corner of each one of these rooms. They're similarly sized. If you notice, every room pretty much feels almost identical. Really, the only difference is like short corridors between them, which makes it feel even more terrible than usual. At least usually we get size differences between the rooms. Yeah, everything feels very, very identical here. And that's one reason why I was saying it was so disorienting at the beginning, because it kind of is. And like I said, try explaining this to somebody who's never played the level or so. Like, imagine me, if you will, trying to write the guy article for this one. It's not the easiest thing, but it definitely gives you good practice indeed for how to articulate this type of stuff, and kind of it comes up with specific rules that cover pretty much any scenario because you have to deal with such insane examples as this. Like I said, this is not the easiest thing to talk about because it's so chaotically and oddly placed. Really, the only thing you can use is like reference to other rooms, and you basically have to create like an origin. You basically have to like base it off like a particular room that you started at, and use that as like jumping off point for everything else. But there's like definitely no way that you can say things like you could like in the original game. You can't just say like near the bridge or something like that, or even like some of the better Q2 levels, like room number 11 or anything like that, because this map is so chaotic that it goes kind of all over the place. Um, like I said, it's really not that chaotic. If anything, it just goes around a linear loop with really one shortcut. So that isn't really much interconnectivity, and yet at the same time, its similar nature and everything makes it very, very confusing and pretty boring. It basically sounds like it'd be a level where you're basically shambling along recklessly and confusingly, not knowing what you're doing, eventually blundering across the rocket launcher, picking it up, and hoping to shoot something with it. Um, like I said, the good news with this type of stuff is that if you can determine like where like something is in relation to something else, so if you like know where the super nail gun is in here, you could say, oh, from the super nail gun I go left, I follow a few corridors that will eventually lead me up to the rocket launcher, which is about the halfway point between that and the Thunderbolt interconnection corridor. But, like I said, for a person who's just jumped into one of these levels, or someone who doesn't really focus on levels with that type of spatial awareness, this type of thing might be kind of silly to even try and bother with. And like I said, I know that could be basically applied to most of Q2, because most of Q2 is very similar look in nature, but because of similar nature of RUMs, because of the fact of the matter that it's so windy and confusing, and at the same time really not going anywhere, it's a very terribly designed level. In a way, I guess it's kind of good that I didn't make it over to single player, though. Then again, they basically transfer over every other terrible level to single player. So, what's one more? Plus the fact that then we could actually have something that wasn't like a repeat of another level. We had a bunch of repeats, but we didn't have any levels like this. Control. Up to this point, I think really the only exclusive we've seen for multiplayer was Body Parts. Body Parts was practical in that sense because there's really no way you can make body parts to a single player level. The whole idea of that level in particular is just that you die over and over. So yeah, trying to make that into a single player level would just kind of lose purpose entirely. Um, but here, I'm just assuming it was time constraints. I'm assuming it was one of the last levels made, and because of that, they ended up just slapping it together. Then again, there are like two other single player levels that are going to be coming up after this. So maybe it was just a case of them not really wanting to bother with it and make it into a single player level. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that they didn't want to bother and didn't want to make anything more than like simple little slap together things, because the last two maps I believe will be pretty simply slapped together, but it's still the fact that mattered that this just little oddities here and there. Like I said, the fact that mattered that it's like this map wasn't like seen anywhere else makes it rather weird, and the fact that like it could have been used potentially to add some variety to Q2, since after all we had four maps that were like Menace and Underworld. but yet we only have this one. It's really weird when you think about it that we have like exclusives to one side, but then we have four maps that are pretty much linear rundown corridor levels. It seems like they were really promoting that one for some reason. I really don't know why. But yeah, it seems like they really promoted a lot of linear, terrible levels. Then you take into equation all the levels that were heavily broken. And yeah, there's a lot of terrible stuff in Q2 that really kind of like can be visible right at the front. And you don't even realize that there's like other levels in there until you get into the hood. Now these other levels aren't really much better, but they're not exactly the most visible levels, regardless of the fact that for some reason they're really like it's weird to think how like even if you like were aware of Q2 and paid attention to some levels, you could easily miss Condemned and that level and geometry in particular if you just stuck to single player levels. Imagine you just played 50 single player levels and you're like, okay, now I've seen everything at Q2 because all Q2's multiplayer levels just repeat it. You wouldn't realize that there are a few exclusives to like each side that are really, really weird. Like I said, it's kind of weird that it did this way. Why have some exclusives and most of them not be exclusives? So you basically have to play through every single level to even find out that were some levels that aren't duplicates of all these other levels. But yeah, I digress. It's just a very weird situation whereby there's like levels like this totally hidden within Q2 in a bunch of levels that you probably aren't going to bother with because you've already thought you've seen all the geometry. But I digress. Anyway, thank you very much all for watching. It has been pretty pointless, but still a different geometry is different geometry. Anyway, thank you very much all for watching, and I shall see you all next time.